Chairman Felton, I'm here. We're still missing Commissioner Turner. So the next order of business is approval of the agenda for tonight. If you guys have had a chance, thank you, to look at that. Suggest any changes you think are needed. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and approve it.
I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
And just very brief discussion before we vote on this. Since we have almost nothing but discussion items tonight, and we've worked exceptionally hard in council on the comprehensive plan, my goal is to keep tonight's meeting as brief as we can keep it.
I would appreciate that.
We'll do what we got to do, but let's try not to go 2 hours,
Yeah,
slogging away at it. We got lots of time to hammer out
Right.
these ordinances.
yeah,
So we'll keep it crisp.
okay.
Okay? So with that, all in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
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 Next up is item 3, approval of the minutes, the draft Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes from November 19th. You guys have had a chance to look at those, or do you want to take a second look at them? Catch any typos, anything that needs to be changed, and then we need a motion to approve those.
Mr. Chairman, I have a
Yes.
suggestion
Commissioner
for
Lee.
some rewording of, on pages 2. The Chairman Felton introduced the next item and asked the commissioners if they saw in needed changes. I think it should be any needed changes.
Hmm.
And there's one down in the next line in 5, same thing. Sound like somebody misinterpreted something on the
On the
paper.
tape.
So. Minor stuff.
Okay. The other one was on page 5, you said?
No, both on page 2.
Both on page 2.
Action item 5.
Action
Yeah,
item 5.
Good catch.
Okay.
Section 4 and 5.
So down below. Yeah, I see where it is. Okay. Other changes?
Yes. On page 3 of 4, that first paragraph, Chairman Felton then took the commissioners through changes.
Some
It's a typo.
changes, some.
Oh, yeah, that has to be added.
Goodness.
Okay. Anything else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move that we, with the aforementioned changes, we approve the minutes of
Second.
November 19th, 2010.
Second.
Did I hear a second, too?
Second.
Very nice motion, by the way. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes from November 19th, say aye.
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 All right, on to item 4. This is an action item, a lot line vacation, an application of Bobby Carmen for lot line vacation between Lot 1B and Lot 1C in the Tierra Linda subdivision, T10 NR7E SEC 28, both 2.803 acres, both lots. Town of Edgewood, Santa Fe County, New Mexico, also known as 25 Camino del Sur. So Tanya, do you need to give us some background on this?
Lot 1B looks to be accessed by Green Gables, and Lot 1C is accessed by Camino del Sur. The lot line between Lot 1B and Lot 1C will be vacated. Lot 1B has utilities already established, and that's where the home is on that property. This lot line vacation could clear up any emergency response confusion if the property owner will change his access point off of Camino del Sur, since the address to his property where the home sits has a Camino del Sur address. This is just things that I noticed when I was doing the research on it. We didn't hear from EMW Gas, but we did hear from NMEC, and they cleared it there was no issues there.
Yeah, they have no lines there.
Yeah, they have no lines, so, yeah, it's a pretty simple lot line vacation.
So I assume you are the applicant? Yes, sir. Joining us tonight? Does anybody on the commission have questions for Tanya or for the applicant? Before we entertain a motion on this one? It does look pretty straightforward.
Oh, to wake it up. Do we need to,
This isn't a public hearing, just an action item. So-
okay, so would we disapprove or approve it, or?
Mhm. So we just need a motion to approve it or disapprove it. Probably the cleanest thing to do is a motion to approve, and anyone who feels, that they're not in favor can vote against that motion.
Okay.
But if you have questions, we can get a motion on the table and then have discussion, or we're usually a little bit looser about that than council is, where if you have questions, go ahead and throw them out there.
Oh, okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the improvement, oh, that's the right thing, the lot line vacation, application of Bobby Carmen for lot line vacation between Lot 1B and Lot 1C of the Tierra Linda subdivision, T10 North, R7E, Section 28, both 2.803 acres, town of Edgewood, Santa Fe County, New Mexico, also known as 25 Camino del Sur.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. I think we need to do this, can we do it by voice vote, or do you need a roll call on this?
You can do it by voice vote.
Yeah, okay, then all in favor, say aye.
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 All right,
And if you would just sign that,
sure.
and then we have something that you can take to the county.
Yeah, and Steve, I need you to sign this too,
Sure.
2 signatures, and this one does have to be dated.
Since I'm an alternate,
Well, that was pretty easy.
if we're short, can I make motions?
Yeah, oh,
I've been
absolutely.
holding back from making motions.
Yeah, you can.
Some things we do are easy.
Could you move me out of Santa Fe County? I mean, since we're here,
Well, I didn't say it.
I'm not particular which county you move me to, as long as it's not Santa Fe.
Pretty difficult, I know.
That would be an interesting,
I still use the transfer station at Stanley. I have for 25 years. And every time I have to buy a permit or bag tags, the whole game plan has changed. They're not sure how they want to do it from one year to the next.
You need anything else from me?
We're good.
That's it.
Thanks for coming in.
it looks like,
We'll see you again.
sir, it looks like nice property, and I hope that
Yeah.
that will go
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
It is a nice piece of property, yeah. I was gonna ask you something, about, it's on Green Gables. Is that actually a city street now?
No.
No.
it's in the town, but we don't maintain it.
It's not adopted for maintenance.
Yeah.
Basically an easement now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Takes us back to discussion of the county, no,
Yeah.
not really.
And the reason the gas company, you didn't hear from them, is they can't dig up that hill. It's too rocky.
Oh,
I tried to
okay.
get it brought
That
in.
makes
they won't do
sense.
it.
Oh, I see. So you just have propane.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
so I got totally electric.
okay.
I live on a road, I live on
All
a
right.
road like that.
Get some solar panels too, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the one from One Exchange is a really good deal.
I got 14 of them on my roof. It's kind of worth
Got
doing.
any extras?
All right, take
All
care.
right, have a good night.
Yeah, I went all through that, and it looked like a nice change. He's gonna have a, well, Eric does have a nice property, he owns them both.
Well, that takes us to item 5. Bum, ba-bum, bum.
I know.
Discussion item, the dreaded sign ordinance. Don't panic. When I'm not teaching, I've been locking myself in my computer room and twirling out all kinds of junk. I don't know if that's good or bad, but
Yeah. So what do we want to go by? The sign ordinance outline, what was in the packet?
well, what's in the packet is the 2009, right?
Yes. Well, it's yeah. But it is, I just plugged in changes there.
I see.
And I don't know if that's where you want them or not. I just thought, well,
Yeah. Maybe,
the outline, think would be better?
let's look at the outline thing first. And then I emailed you something today.
We
I
did
think.
that. This
Huh?
is what you emailed the other day, and I,
Okay,
like, yesterday.
I have yet another one
Okay.
that is like starting to look like an actual ordinance.
Did you email that one to me?
Thought I did, but maybe not. Let me look. I don't want to overload you with too many versions of the same thing.
Like we almost got to in town, the Edgewood Comprehensive Land Use Plan, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I can email it to you now if it helps at all.
I'll have to go in there and
Oh,
grab it.
well, let's start from here. And
Okay.
the other one that I was working on today, I can kind of talk through some of it too. Like, as I worked on this, it's always like this for me when I try to write stuff like this. It's like you have this great big mess over here, and you start another great big mess over there. And then you pull stuff from this mess and you go until kind of an order in it crystallizes. And then I double back to something that looks almost like an outline.
Yeah.
So this one with the green in it is what I was working on yesterday. And it took me this morning to something that is closer, I think, to an actual. And I worked a lot on definitions, too. So should I just describe some of this?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
all right.
Do you want the mouse? Would that help? I'll bring it.
Yeah, all right. And I'm going to open my Google Drive so I can see the other thing I wrote. Does it work all right? All right. So, and I don't want to dominate this whole meeting, so stop me.
Just let me know
You
if
guys
you
have
want to.
input and questions. The things you see here that say Section 1, Section 2, Section 2A, Section 2B, these are from the current ordinance, okay? So, Section 1 purpose, the purpose in the current ordinance is very different than the purpose that I proposed. I think you guys saw it the last time we talked about this.
So the purpose would be the overall guidance that you
Right.
provided. Yeah, I like that.
Okay. And we can, is that in here too? Can we put that up at the same time? I can toggle between.
Yeah, I think if you go,
Here, we'll run the mouse back and forth. You know where to find stuff. I'll let you find it. Let's get a few things up there we can toggle between. Yeah, that's the current ordinance.
yeah, so this is where we plug in the
Right.
Okay.
And then do you also have the draft? You said I like your purpose. that I read?
Yeah, this is it.
This is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the old one's in there
Yeah, so I crossed out,
with strikeout.
yeah, strike
through.
out everything in black is the whole ordinance, everything in red is what you wrote,
Mm-hmm.
and then blue, I think, was a different color that you had in yours. Or, you
Yeah,
also had blue.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
put blue in there.
a little bit of blue, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Help me with one thing here. Where's my other document?
It's down there where you see the word,
Down here?
no, all the way there.
There. Gotcha.
Yeah,
In the
so it's the
taskbar.
one on the left.
Okay. So you can see in the old ordinance, the purpose was, and it's still section 1, purpose and intent. The Town of Edgewood finds that the natural surroundings, climate, history, and people of the town combine to provide Edgewood community with unique charm and beauty. This ordinance has been adopted to assure that signs installed, unique character. This, in my thinking, this almost said a little too much.
A
That-
little bit too wordy.
And there are things here you'd be challenged potentially to prove or justify.
Like promotion of public health and that?
No, like unique. Compatible, like what does that mean?
Compatible with unique character.
Yeah, so the purpose that, this is a purpose that I started hammering out in Silver City. What I'm suggesting is something like, the purpose of the Town of Edgewood sign ordinance is to facilitate a healthy business climate, and you can't limit yourself to business. Our old ordinance did. And advance the cultural and social interests of residents and visitors while protecting public health, safety, and aesthetics that contribute to quality of life. That's
that.
probably a little more provable. This is accomplished by regulating the construction, placement, and maintenance of signage in accord with common standards, and I have some tonight on lighting, and the goals of the Town of Edgewood Comprehensive Land Use Plan. Edgewood's ordinance is constructed with a mind toward time, place, and manner in which signs are installed, rather than regulation that is content-related. Okay?
Yeah.
Under the latest constitutional or SCOTUS finding, that's a very important thing to have in there. You absolutely can't mess with content. They've even gone as far as saying if you have to read it to know how to regulate it, it's unconstitutional.
Right.
You can't enforce it.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I was careful to try and do going through here, and this is why we have the severability clause still in there, that basically says if one part of this is found to be at fault, that doesn't mean all of it's at fault.
Yeah.
Because when you start messing with content, what the Supreme Court will do is say, no, not only does section this of your ordinance violate, but the whole ordinance has to go away. So we're trying to dance around that, keep it fair.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Sure.
With this definition in red and the little part blue, would our own town sign, you know, the new one up there,
Mm-hmm.
would it pass that criteria?
Aesthetics?
Huh?
You mean the aesthetics part?
Yes, well, the aesthetics and, you know, not control related, you know, or is that
Which-
just a sign?
Which sign do you mean?
The one that's at the very close to Chili Hills,
The digital sign?
the digital sign.
Oh,
I don't know how many nits that is. We'll get to that.
Yeah, it's very dim.
It's very what?
It's very dim.
I read up on nits.
Yeah, it is.
That kind of replaces the concept of lumens when you're talking about digital stuff. And one nit is the equivalent of the road you're looking at night through streetlights and stuff. The average lighted billboard is 100 nits, and the daytime sun is 65,000 nits. So, you know, if you're driving down I-40 and you see billboards with lights on them, they're all about 100 nits. One professional organization involved in all this stuff, they said that in their report. It seems about right. Then they went and said, so we recommend that people be allowed to go from 100 to like 300. Like, duh. I don't know why they said that.
Yeah.
But under that kind of guidance, I think, yes, the town sign probably is acceptable. And later in the ordinance, I talked about animated figures and things that splash at you, and I'm not so sure that's something we want. And especially with the tight intersections we have in parts of Edgewood, we probably don't want air dancers either, those things that jump at you in the
Right.
Oh, yeah.
wind, because we're a little prone to crashes, probably more so than like a straight intersection like Eubank and Lomas. We have a lot of crazy twists and turns. So anyways, yeah, that's in blue because I added it, I think, at the last meeting. Kind of worked it in. I think that's what a lot of the blue stuff is.
Okay.
And I added one more thing yesterday. This says the Town of Edgewood sign ordinance does not extend to the regulation of road signs directed at traffic control and safety. Let me look at mine. This is like ever-changing. Okay.
We can add whatever wording.
Yeah, and we don't need to tonight. I mean, I'll send you what I have, and I'm sorry that I keep changing it. I guess my mind just gets going on something like this, and I go, oh, I should do this. I'll tell you right now, one of the issues that's kind of hard to wrestle with is flags.
The long, narrow.
No, flags.
Oh.
You can't say no flags because you don't want, say you don't want people putting big streamers with pennants flapping in the wind. Well, now if you say no flags, you just outlawed American flags. And if you say American flags are okay, what if somebody wants to put up a Ukrainian flag?
Yeah.
So,
Or a Confederate flag?
yes,
Yeah.
it gets to
One
be
of
a
those.
really,
For the world.
it's a really slippery slope, really fast.
would this apply to panhandlers with signs? You know, they get a 6-foot by 8-foot, so like can in Edgewood, they'd be flying.
They'd fly away. Yeah.
My guess is it would
But
not.
I guess they can, that would be something entirely different.
Yeah.
Except, to your point, there's several places in town, one's right out there, you know, the intersection of 344 and that Church Road, that they come out at times with big signs and rotate them and flash
Yeah.
them around.
Yeah.
People are hired to stand there.
Mhm.
Does that count as a sign?
Street market.
The old ordinance, the '09, I believe, doesn't really address that either. The closest it came is it talked about handbills, as if they were signs.
I kind of like the fact that Church Street Market uses that on the weekends instead of putting up a permanent sign,
Yeah.
because I don't know where they would, I mean, they've got a sign in front of their building, but I don't know where they would put one that directs them down the road, which I think they need. But it's nice, since they're only open 3 days, 2 or 3 days a week, I think it's good that they use the twirly sign guy.
Well, and they're also
Yep.
employing people to do that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, and as I mentioned to Linda Burke in the last time, the last meeting where we talked about this, they may have to consider something else like radio, GPS, Facebook. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that isn't necessarily a sandwich board sign stuck on the sidewalk. You know, welcome to the 20th century.
Yep.
So, we'll see. But the other thing I put in here, under scope, was security lighting. Illuminating a property rather than a sign, whether wall, soffit mounted, or on a pole or pylon, that is compliant with the Town of Edgewood dark skies ordinance, shall not be regulated by this ordinance. So if you've got big poles shining lights on your gravel pit, protecting your heavy equipment, and it happens to illuminate your sign too, you know, no foul.
Just a bonus.
Yeah, I mean, the lighting's there to protect the heavy equipment, so that's a whole separate matter. If they're violating dark skies, that's a different ordinance.
Yeah.
So I thought it was important to make that clear, so that somebody's not saying, well, they got those lights and it's because they want people to see their sign.
Yeah.
Not dealt with here. So now it gets kind of muddy. What's all this stuff we crossed out? Oh, I know what this is.
Because it seemed like all of that was kind of set up in your, the paragraph. It kind of all blended into, which I liked,
Right.
because that just makes
Right.
it shorter,
So this
so.
This kind of takes the summary and the purpose and
Right.
breaks it out into numbered items, which I
Yeah.
agree is redundant.
Right.
Makes the thing run to 27 pages. But there is one section in this that is especially onerous. So I looked at all this, and I did not see anything in there worth saving. Now, under applicability and exceptions, applicability I would keep, and I actually included it here. It says, the one I'm working on that I'll email you, the latest version, the ordinance applies to all signs of whatever nature and wherever located within the town of Edgewood. After I put that in there, I thought, do we want to say within the town of Edgewood? Do we have any jurisdiction outside the town boundary as we would for land use?
I don't think so on signs.
I
we don't.
I wasn't sure if we did or not, probably not. All signs not specifically permitted or accepted by this ordinance are prohibited, okay? Now we get to exceptions. Let me see how far I went with this. So you can see here I was kind of writing notes to myself. Remove street signs, remove town event. I changed my mind about that. Remove not visible provision. There's something in the old ordinance, in the 09, that says, basically it says, an exception is a sign that you have on your private property where nobody can see it. As long as nobody can see it from another property, it's fine.
Yeah.
And I thought, does that really need to be said? I didn't see a need to retain that. Maybe I'm Pollyanna.
Which one is that, number 6?
Number 5, I think you.
Yeah.
You
Number
could
6.
have like a neon sign in
Oh,
your
no, it's-
window
it's worse.
facing out. And that would be in the interior of your building.
It's not that one.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. Here it is, number 5.
Number 5.
Signs not visible beyond the boundaries of the lot or parcel upon which they are located or from any public right-of-way.
Oh,
It's an invisible sign.
yeah. Little tiny sign.
And we make exceptions for invisible signs.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that doesn't really add anything to the ordinance and kind of takes away.
No.
But here's the elephant in the living room. Political or campaign signs. Now you're calling something out by content. In addition to signage otherwise authorized by this chapter, political or campaign signs on behalf of candidates for public office or measures on selected ballots are allowed as follows. Said signs, it goes on A, B, C, D, E, and F. So here's my take on it. Throw all that out. You can't regulate that anyway.
Right.
What you regulate is if you put your sign in a public easement, it's going in the trash.
Yep.
Or it's going in the back room for you to claim, then to the trash.
That's what we did in Bernalillo.
Yep.
It was in a right-of-way, it was gone,
Yep.
and we had sign jail, and they could come pick it
If you
up.
put your sign on private property without written permission of the property owner, or you put it on private property that is unoccupied, that's vacant, and you figure, well, nobody knows, so it's okay.
Yeah.
It's going in sign jail and then the trash.
How are we
Now,
going
that's hard to double check.
It is.
How are we going to discover that? Somebody's got to complain, right?
Yeah, it would be,
Yep.
it would probably be
By
by
complaint,
accident, yeah.
Somebody complains, you go to the candidate and you say, let me see the folder that you have all of your permission slips in. I have one at home from my last run for council. And if they don't have them, for that property, the sign's coming down.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Item F, again, we don't regulate this. The Secretary of State does.
Right.
It doesn't need to be resaid. That within 150 feet of a voting station, you are guilty of electioneering.
And aren't the people running that voting station responsible for checking those?
Oh, they
on the day
do.
of the election?
They put up cones, yeah, and they
Right,
come out
okay.
and check.
Then we don't need to talk about
We
it.
don't need to talk about it.
No.
It just makes the ordinance longer, and people look at it when it's 27 pages, and they go,
That's what's.
they just wave their hands, and they go, I wanted a sign, but now I don't know what to do.
I bet they say something under their breath, too. Are you kidding me, or whatever?
Yeah, probably. So my suggestion is, I said remove flags up here, but I changed my mind about that. Too hard to do. Instead, I'm going to say, we probably want to restrict pennants, okay? And you'll see in the thing I'll send you, I really got rolling today. Aerial displays, banner towing a banner behind an airplane. There's a number of things that we probably want to say, nothing up in the air.
Yeah.
In part because it's so darn windy here, and in part because actually the little bit that I read on banner towing, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's dangerous to the person flying the plane. Do we really want to be responding to a crash at Air Park because somebody,
Yeah, was
You know.
asking somebody to marry them.
those things get used the most over traffic jams and at beaches,
Yeah.
and we
I
have
always see them when
neither.
I'm in California.
So,
Can you really regulate that?
yeah,
Somebody flying over with a banner?
yeah, I mean,
You
they
can
may go
cite 'em.
over, and if you know, I mean, if he's low enough for you to read it,
Ticket.
he's probably low enough for you to read his registration number off his plane. And then you find out who it is and you go, stop doing that. And, I don't know, maybe.
But he would have already done it.
He won't do it again.
Don't do that anymore.
Right.
Don't do it again.
So,
I agree with you for a slightly different reason. I think our drivers are bad enough without those kind of distractions.
that's true.
That's true.
Yeah, from the cars looking up,
And during a busy campaign season, what, are we going to have 3 airplanes flying around with everybody's stuff on them? Political signs, I thought, we can take all of this stuff about political out, all right? It even says no political signs on roofs. Well, I would say no roof signs, period. Right?
Right.
Then you don't have to worry about that.
Does that apply to businesses?
Yes, applies to everybody.
Just trying to remember who's got roof signs.
Yeah.
Well, what's coming, I sent Tanya a table I made, it's just a really rudimentary table. I think we need a field trip to drive around town when the weather's nice and just inventory signs.
Yeah.
I've got a list of all the types of signs that come from this ordinance. Let's go see how many of them are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been looking at them, you know.
Me too.
Now that I didn't realize how many kiosks, there
Yeah.
really are a lot.
Yeah,
I've
multi-tenant
been
kiosks.
noticing them more.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, how many, what types? You've probably got types that aren't a perfect fit for any of the definitions we have, but the old ordinance has a stipulation in it, and I would keep it, that if you can't fit it to one of the categories, you fit it to the closest one you can and regulate it that way. And then if there's a flurry of them, you may say, well, now we need a new category. You know, ordinances are not, they don't fall from the sky on stone tablets.
Right.
They're living documents. So political signs, I would just treat as a temporary sign,
Yeah.
Yes.
same way you would treat a real estate sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although those have a remarkable ability to grow back all year.
I think that's where we're gonna get caught up in, I think the pushback's gonna be real estate signs being in the right of way.
Don't put them in the right of way.
Yep, but they want them in the right of way. They also want them on the street corner that
Yes.
says open house and,
Oh,
know.
that's true.
Right.
I know, they have a particular need for something that's directional. And then I would say, instead of breaking the law, why don't you come in and suggest a way we can handle that? I'm looking out on the chairs tonight, and I don't see a single Realtor here. I also don't see the Chamber of Commerce, although Linda's been to some of this stuff. She gets here when she can. I've talked this up. I told Mr. Seegers personally, we're going to be taking this on. So if the Realtors have a special need, come talk to us about it.
at this point, not at the finish line.
That's right.
Right.
I think it's interesting, we have approved Good Shepherd to put in a new sign, but we haven't, so far I haven't seen any covered like special use lots that use, or like the church across the street here, Valley View. Are we gonna get a nod over that?
No, Good Shepherd, we don't have really anything for a sign. That's how this all started, was the discussion of a sign, but we don't have a sign application from them yet.
And then we have one at the Episcopal Church. I don't know if they've requested a permit.
They have,
They
Okay.
have.
Is that a digital sign?
it is.
Yeah, it looked like it. The wiring's in the trench there. I walk that trail a lot, and my wife and I have literally, for years now, fished their plastic letters out of the ditch and made a pile and put a rock on them so they could reinstall them. And we always read the sign missing its letters.
Yeah.
It's like, Pris Kid. Does that need an O in it?
Well, the folks at that church have a really interesting, wicked sense of humor, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised.
And I've run into some of them there who,
People.
they've
Just
thanked
a-
me for picking up their plastic letters. And
But SU, ratings or stuff like that, or, giving permission for the signs before we've seen it, I wonder if we made a mistake there.
Well,
If it's really obnoxious, we'll have to take that up separately.
You
I
can't
we
don't
put
think
a,
it's gonna
yeah.
be
code
obnoxious.
enforcement will.
You're
Tim?
thinking that might be too big, like too, not aesthetic or whatever?
I don't know. I don't know anything about the Good Shepherd, what they've ordered, or the Holy Cross, what they've ordered. But I do know they think they're gonna have it, put in pretty quickly.
Things with animations digital signs that are capable of a lot are expensive,
Yeah.
like $250,000 of expensive.
Yes.
No, they won't.
So I think what you're going to see is most people have an interest in a crawling text, that delivers 2 screens of text, like the one at the gravel pit at EnviroWorks. I'm worried about brightness, and I'm worried about animations. And you really can't go back and regulate something that, the ordinance enforced right now is what covers it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think the special facilities, like churches or hospitals, would be doing much of that.
Doing much of what?
Just what you described, animation.
Animations? No, I don't think so.
No.
I'm more concerned with them about brightness. And we do have a stipulation in the current ordinance, and I would carry it over into the revision, that it goes off at 11 PM.
And when we give them their sign permit, it says it on there.
Does
The
anybody
rules.
shut them off?
I'm not here, so I don't
EnviroWorks
know.
doesn't.
I'm not here at 11.
EnviroWorks
I think
definitely
Valley View shuts it off at some point. Of course, there's a very simple sign,
does. They may at Legacy too, I don't know, I haven't noticed that one.
I haven't noticed that one,
Well,
yeah.
this one at the corner, right here at the light, is that for the town or is that for soccer?
That's for the school. The
Yeah,
one right
that's-
here
that's the
on the
school.
property? Yeah, it's the school.
The school?
Mhm.
Which school?
Moriarty District.
Moriarty District.
Oh, okay. And it talks about games and, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edgewood Middle School has a very bright, big sign, little ways back from 344, but it shuts down at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's,
It
works.
it dims way down. And I think it's tied in with the power from what used to be First Choice on the corner, because it hasn't worked for a while.
Oh,
Since they shut power down, there was street lights going down that little
so they have like
gravel road too.
they had a really long extension cord.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those street lights in the school sign haven't been on. So I don't know what's going on there, but we were friends with the people who lived on the corner previously, and we thought, oh, man, they put this sign up, and it's like right in their back windows. But it shuts off at 10 o'clock at night, and so it was okay.
That's not bad. Yeah. I'll have to take a video of a sign in Bernalillo, and we have really strict guidelines for the historical overlay on Main Street in Bernalillo, and so you couldn't have digital signs, but once Carla and Maria left, it was a free-for-all.
Mhm.
And this sign at Frank's Conoco is so goddamn bright. And they do the screen, because you can change the background of the screen and then the lettering, the colors of it, and they do a bright red with white letters, and it blinds you. And I can't believe I'm saying that, because I sound like Juan and Donzel, but it blinds you. You're just like, ah, when
Oh, yeah.
when it turns to that screen. It's
There's
really
one
bad.
that, I think it's southbound 1 to Bow on the south side of I-40, that is like, fireworks and
And
people's
then
faces. and-
Yeah, I mean, it changes completely to something
Yeah,
else.
it's really, really bright.
It's really distracting.
And I'm not trying to be like a sign Nazi. It's like,
We already have that.
what kind of town do we want to be? And I guess anybody who objects to the direction we're going in, like, well, you should allow just about anything, I don't know, aren't those some of the same people who say Western theme? You're going to have digital signs that's more like Westworld.
Yeah.
Like, where's Yul Brenner when you
Yeah.
need him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we should, I think we should have, some restrictions that makes sense, but just not be picky.
Digital signs are smart.
Yeah.
They're LED, you can change the message. Even if somebody buys your building, they can change it over to their business. They're super flexible. It's really a good idea. They don't use a lot of energy when they're LED, But you have to have some sane regulations around them, or
Yeah.
you have somebody put in a bright one, then the next person wants a brighter one, and everybody wants to go higher and brighter.
Yeah.
Isn't that called Tucumcari?
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, didn't we do that with billboards?
Yeah.
You know, like
Moriarty.
60 years ago?
Or Moriarty, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the stuff in green, I would take it all out. The old ordinance even has something in it where it says, I'll show you. What is it? It's section 2C. Talks about the message on the sign, talks blatantly about that. Sign message.
Are we gonna continue down into like section 4 and section 5?
No.
Okay.
Why, did you want to tonight?
No, I had, just something jumped out at me. Why do we put a height limit of 30 feet?
We can talk about that tonight.
Well, I mean, maybe
I made
it's
that
not
up.
appropriate for tonight. Yeah.
I made that up in Silver City. And we can look at what's in the current ordinance. There's height restrictions in here. And I was generous as far as biggest sign
Yeah.
you can have in town. I said 400 square feet. I've rethought it, I think maybe 300.
Yeah.
Pretty big.
That's
It is,
20 by 20 is pretty big.
because you can't say not billboard, you know? It
That's
gets
why I
tricky.
put in there, it's like moratorium, are we doing a moratorium on
And,
that?
you know, I also looked at digital signage and what's going on in other states. There's like more than 20 states that currently have banned them or have a moratorium on them. It's very controversial. So I think if we can find a way to do it sanely, we'll be on the cutting edge.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
400 square feet sounds like a billboard to me.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just,
Yeah.
the 30 feet in height, I put that in as like, put it in and we'll work from there. So this thing, any sign allowed herein may contain, in lieu of any other message or copy, any lawful, non-commercial message, so long as said sign complies with size. I wouldn't even say this.
No, I agree. Don't put anything
Yeah.
about
What they're
that.
saying is, if you want to put up a sign in your yard that says, "I hate Obama," you can. We know that.
Yeah,
We don't need to say it.
right.
If it's in a residential zone, it's going to be a relatively small sign. And it's only going to be every 100 feet.
Yeah.
If it's in a commercial zone, it's going to be a big sign, and then, well, kiss 50% of your business goodbye, right?
Right.
That's a businessman or businesswoman's choice to make.
I heard tonight on the radio that one of the things the Supreme Court of the United States is facing now is things where you play with the content. You know,
Oh,
the message,
absolutely.
As opposed to the glitter. They
Yep.
don't like you playing with the content.
No, and what I learned in Silver City is, if you do that blatantly in your ordinance, if it's challenged in court, it'll be considered under what's called strict scrutiny, where they won't go, that section has to come out. They go, you have to throw your whole ordinance away and start over. We don't want to be in that trash can heap.
I don't think we need to be that.
No.
No.
So this is the severability clause. Tanya and I talked about this, and I think we agree. We should keep it in one form or another, and it should be at the end of the ordinance.
Yeah.
If any section, sentence, clause, phrase, word, portion, or provision judged by any court to blah, 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 it shall not impair or invalidate any other section. And the fact that we said up front that the purpose is, well, it's in the old one. The purpose is to regulate by place, construction, manner of construction. We came right out and said, we are not messing with content.
Yeah.
I asked Mr. Dubois after his presentation in Silver City, I had written this while he was talking. I went up to him and said, do you think this gives us any legal power? Does it help to have said it? And he said, probably. Having said right up front, it's our intent to stay away from regulating content. He said if a judge sees that in the beginning of your ordinance, he's going to go, okay. And he's going to look, he or she will look through the rest of the ordinance and make sure you're doing what you said you were going to do. And if you did, it's all consistent, he's not going to get his judgment appealed. He's going to go, yep, I side with the town.
So there's a thin line between that and profanity on signs. We don't worry about that too much.
You can't.
We're not supposed to worry about that.
Right.
You can't. And, it goes way, way back. Potter Stewart. I can't define profanity, but I know it when I see it. Right? And one person's profanity is another person's entertainment.
So this business of content looks like the only place you could really get in too big of trouble if you try to start regulating content on your
You can
site.
get in trouble for other things too, but that's the biggie.
That's the big one.
Yeah,
So I suggest we try not to do that.
yeah. I would stay away from it, and I can't see a good reason to go there. Now, if somebody wants to, every 100 feet, put a sign around their house with profanity on it, what happens?
We get tons of calls.
And if those signs mysteriously disappear in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
is anyone going to be surprised?
Right.
And sure, I mean, the police have a duty to kind of deter vandalism, but how much can you do? I think most people have the sense not to do something like that.
What about like hate signs? I mean,
And what's a hate sign?
I don't know.
Like if somebody that's
Something
on the town council put a really nasty sign about the mayor in their front yard, would the mayor have to deal with it? The town really couldn't, could they?
They
There's
can
really
put
no
whatever they
deal.
want
Because
on
that's
their property.
content. So-
That's already been done, right?
They have to get a sign permit.
Yeah. If it's up for more than 90 days,
Yep, then it has to be a permanent
okay.
sign.
and if it's made out of if it's made out of a vinyl banner, cardboard,
Oh, yes.
stuck on
We
little
can
metal
get rid of
legs, it is now by definition a temporary sign.
Yeah.
And the moment it goes to day 91 on those little metal legs,
Yeah.
it is now a permanent sign that is non-compliant, and it comes down.
Yeah.
Temporary signs, I'm proposing they can only be up for 90 days. And I don't know, maybe that's too generous.
And then they can just. put another
Campaign
one up.
signs,
They can put another one up for another 90 days.
You
Since
can
most
come
of the
re-up your
signs
sign permit.
Around Edgewood for the municipal events, they put those up and take them down because they keep them for next year, and so they're never up 90 days, I don't think. Like,
Mhm.
nobody ever says 90 days before a soccer match out there.
So the ones that seem to be up around town and in the right of way and in the middle of a sidewalk are the ones for events not put on by the town. So
Do we have many of those?
we do.
Mhm.
Like yard sales and
Oh, okay, yeah.
things like that.
Oh,
So those sandwich boards are usually in the right of way and in an area that they shouldn't be in, say like underneath the overpass.
Right.
Right,
In
or on
that-
a
in that-
median.
Okay.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not private land, so they can't do
No,
it.
and that's the problem is they can't put, especially in DOT right of way. That's the state. So,
Right, because it could, something could knock it or, could into a car or something.
right. So,
So I'm going to make a note to myself here. Commissioner Herrera just raised a really good question. Serial temporary signage.
yeah.
yeah.
They
You know,
want
if
to
you have
pay
like
for
a-
it every 90 days.
Every 90 days. So they
Well-
would have to,
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe you could build it into your fine structure.
Yeah.
they would have to come to the town to do another 90 days of that
Yeah.
same sign? Okay, I didn't know that.
Well, we're not talking about permitting temporary signs, are we? We could.
We could. That's gonna be hard to regulate.
It is very hard.
Especially with all the yard sale signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we probably wouldn't make real estate agents permit.
I would rather not.
Yeah.
See, and now you're going, well, realtors don't have to,
Yeah.
but political
Yeah.
candidates do, and it's like, ay.
See, this is why I hate signs.
Yeah,
I don't want any signs. All the signs need to come down.
But I'd like to say at this point, I think Glenn and the staff have done a really great job handling a pain in the neck subject.
Yes.
it's got to be done. This one,
I know, but it appears you got a good start at it, for sure.
I think we did. This ordinance is from '09. It's a revision of the '04, and I was on council. I worked on this. You should see the '04. It's a lot worse. But nobody, I left council in 2010, and nobody did anything else with this, except not enforce it,
Yeah.
Except not enforced.
because it's unenforceable.
Right.
So I'll make a note to myself, serial temporary signs. You can't judge them on content, but you can say the same person. But, then again, somebody has a right to have a sign in their yard all the time that says, "I hate Obama." Don't they?
Yeah. They can do whatever they want.
And if they go to 91 days, are they now required to put a pedestal sign in their yard at great expense?
But
Or-
isn't there something in the ordinance that does address that, like after
Paint
so
the
many
wood
days?
silver.
Yeah, but it doesn't say if they put another one up.
Oh, right.
I don't think it does, not in the current ordinance.
Well, remember the person that had the Statue of Liberty on Wyoming? Was it on Wyoming? Do you remember that?
It is Wyoming, yeah.
Yeah.
Near
I mean, it's not there
Constitution.
anymore, but it was during, I don't remember what election that was, but. Commercial. It was on the news, and he was allowed to have it.
Because I don't think
Yeah.
there's any
Yeah.
People have a right to
substantial at all.
First Amendment expression of
Yeah.
Public is
opinion.
a different story.
But they don't have a right to litter the countryside with pieces of vinyl, cardboard, and metal,
That's true.
So I guess if somebody wants to put a sign up in their yard constantly, there's probably not a lot you can do about it.
So not get rid of the old one? Or-
No, it has to come down after 90 days.
So the old one has to come down, and then they just put a new one
If
up?
we happen to see it there and go, that thing's been there for like 6 months, you would send them a letter, I assume, or?
Well, and I think where we would get into an issue with, because I got into this problem on the animal control side, where it defined an owner of an animal as being someone who's had an animal for 14 days consistently at their house. And so I had this one gentleman who claimed, oh, well, the dog's my daughter's, and she claimed, oh, well, the dog's not always at the house. So he threw that case out because he's like, well, you can't prove that that dog was at that residence for 14 days straight. So I think we might run into that again
Yeah.
with,
Yeah, there's probably not a lot you can do.
with that day issue there. Like, we'd have to be there every single day and document that, yes, that sign
Right.
has been there.
And honestly, where you're going to have the most abuse of temporary signs, which might be leaving them up, or it comes down and another one goes up right away, it's going to be realtors.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to have residential areas peppered with "I hate Obama" signs.
Yeah.
Because those will be self-regulating.
Yeah.
Democrats will pull them down.
Yeah, somebody will.
Yeah.
Where realtors are real, we need to talk to some realtors in the
Does
course
that
of doing
fall
all
under
this.
business, though, or, I mean, for realtors?
It falls
care
under
if-
temporary
Yeah,
sign.
I don't care if the sign's up, I mean, if they're trying to sell a house and it's clearly not selling, and the thing's up for 6 months or whatever, as long as it's not in the right of way, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all I care about, is those signs in the right of way, because it just looks trashy. And then you get the yard sale signs in the middle of the street with the rock in a box and,
Yep.
Right, and it's bent
know?
over, and it's all dirty, and,
Yeah.
And everyone starts attaching everything to
To
the
it,
signs and to everything
And to the
else. And,
poles
oh yeah,
and-
it just escalates
Every Monday, phone call, sign Nazi.
every
Oh.
Monday.
And so Tim has to go out and deal with all the yard sale signs.
Yeah, running around, or like when we get a slew of someone who wants to promote their business, and every telephone pole on the countryside has their
Yeah,
Eat at Joe's or whatever it is.
we buy ugly houses, yeah.
Well, and
Yes.
this,
Yep,
the draft I did says nothing on telephone poles.
yes.
Nothing on
Right.
vegetation.
Right.
Nothing on fences.
Right.
And Church Street is probably a prime example of things that are, signs that are not where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You mean Church Street Market?
No,
No, that
Church
whole
Street.
road.
It's the fence.
Oh, the whole road,
The
yeah.
fence.
The mayor's fence.
Yeah, as you're coming out, because Walmart, because everybody goes to Walmart,
yep.
so they think that everybody's gonna see it.
A question for you, Tim.
Mhm.
So realtors, they're just gonna put signs up. And you could take them down, another one will come up. Not a big deal. What about open house signs? We can regulate, we can say, they're fine, they're like any other real estate sign. But a directional, now, I'm not regulating message, a directional sign for a time-limited event can only be in place, up to 24 hours after the event.
Yeah.
Who has an open house that's like year-round?
So when they stick those little tiny signs in the ground, like right at the corner of Dinkle and 344, that's not going to be allowed. It's a directional sign, though, to their little event. That's going to be, I think that's where they're going to get really bugged.
Well, you
Yeah.
can't, you're not having an open house constantly.
Right.
It's a time-limited event, right?
Yeah.
We don't leave the Town of Edgewood sign for Brews on Bachelor up all year.
Right.
Because we will eventually have another Brews on Bachelor.
That thing's up for
Why should
2
the real
days.
estate industry be allowed to do what we don't do?
Right. So are we saying that we're going to allow them to put that little sign up in the right-of-way?
Not in the right-of-way.
Okay, because I think that's where we're going to get pushback.
Yeah.
I think
Nothing in the right-of-way, I'm sorry.
we gotta
Yeah.
draw the line at the right of way.
Because I'm telling you, right over here, there's always an open house or a directional sign pointing down Dinkle for something real estate
So
related.
tell me this. Is all of the property at the corner of 344 and Dinkle owned by somebody?
344 side would be the state.
Yep. Each
Dinkle would be
property on
us.
that corner is owned by someone.
Right. Yep.
So if you want to put a real estate sign at that corner, get permission of the property owner to put it just inside the easement. I don't know, just a thought.
Katrina's.
Yeah.
That's right, they have to get permission to put the big, huge signs on people's property inside, not in the right.
Right, and I'm going to guess, if I own property there, I would, if I had a house at a busy intersection like that, I would probably be equally upset by somebody putting a sign 6 inches away from my property, so it's in the easement. I'd probably tell them, oh, hell, just bring it inside my property. Just come get it when your event's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. You really, this First Amendment thing cuts 2 ways. So we can't regulate on content. But we also don't have to give a particular industry a free pass to do whatever they want while we restrict
Yeah.
everyone else.
Right.
And I really want to talk to the real estate industry. Not just local, but I'm curious, Albuquerque, I'm sure, has trouble with this too.
Yeah.
How do they handle it? How do the realtors handle it? They just go, oh, we buy 400 open house signs because they're going to get thrown away.
I would think that the majority of people, if you're looking for a house, you're on Zillow, you're on
Absolutely.
Realtor.com, you're looking, and they'll advertise on there if there's an open house. So, to me, I just don't think that,
Well, the people wanting to sell could put a sign right in their own yard.
Well, my youngest son, he does put his signs on the Sunday that he's going to have an open house, and he's physically going to be at that house.
Mm-hmm.
And so he'll put one like, where Quintessence is, it's off of, let's say, what is that, Wyoming? Anyway, it's a big neighborhood, so there's the entryway, and he's got the sign there in the entryway, and then it points, you're going to take a right, and then go down, and there's a sign at the house, where it is. And then when he's done, at the end of the day, he picks up his signs and puts them in his trunk, and that's how he does it,
Yeah,
because he doesn't want people going to the house, when there's nobody there.
yeah.
yeah.
So,
Then we wouldn't be messing with their content if they did it more than a 24-hour period and picked it up.
right.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a reasonable.
That's what, he works for Remax.
I haven't seen it in Edgewood, but I was out in Nevada last month, and the ones that are way worse than the open house signs are the model home sign.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll have like 2 or 3 model homes for a subdivision, and then they've got signs for 5 miles before you get to it, and then big arrows, because they want you to
find it.
come
Yeah.
in
Look
and
at it, yeah.
find it. And
Yeah.
those get pretty bad. They make a simple open house thing look.
Yeah.
So far Edgewood hasn't had those places like on the West Mesa. That's a
Yeah.
trick from the West Mesa too.
Yeah.
They
We
just
haven't
had
had 12 homes for sale all in one small area yet, have we?
They just had that one that they were building down Dinkle Road. Remember, they took over that property, there was a double wide there.
Yep.
Got rid of that old double wide and built that brand-new house. And there was signs, I think it was just right on the property, though. I think
It
there's-
was, yeah, it was right on the
was.
property,
That
but it was
coming,
huge.
coming, open house.
Yeah.
Another thing that occurs to me. Can the chamber help with this? Are they open on Saturdays?
No,
Really?
I don't think so.
For open houses, you prefer?
The chamber?
Well, I'm thinking like, let's assume that, all right, people who shop for a house or for land out here, they don't do it by Zillow or GPS or whatever. They just drive around and look for signs. You almost need like a clearinghouse. Like, and it's not gonna be a realtor, because that's fiercely competitive. One realtor's not gonna help people find a different realtor. But is that something a chamber does? Like, I'm sure they have lists of all the realtors.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
My daughter's house sold off of Zillow.
Is there a schedule of like,
I mean,
who's
people,
doing open
she had like
houses?
800, people looking at it, and so it did sell right away.
yeah,
It's down Dinkle Road.
I found my house on Zillow,
Yeah,
the one I bought.
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. And I don't want to get hung up on this. I promised you guys a shorter meeting, but this is the nature of the beast.
It is.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's a lot, yeah.
So I'll take us back to the one with green in it. Because I told Tanya, we're going to stop when we hit this second chunk of green, right? So from the old ordinance, we left off here. We're taking out the thing that talks about message. Severability, we talked about. Then we get into the meat of it. That's what's coming next. General provisions, section 3 is height, illumination, size, what types are permitted. Freestanding, canopy, awning, architectural, building mounted. And the old ordinance, what it says is, if building mounted, then the letters on the sign must be bigger than 40% of the size of the background. It gets into great detail about spacing from the edge of the wall and,
Yeah, right.
I'm looking at it and thinking, I don't care.
Yeah.
Here's how big it can be. It can't be on the top of your roof. It can't be lit with like lights that you can see from space. Do whatever you want with it. I'm not going to get into text size and speed limits. We might talk about commercial overlay and allow bigger signs there. Or, the biggest out there. You're at 35 miles an hour from Church to all the way down Edgewood 7, right? And you're at 35 from the physical therapy place out on 66, all the way through the Smith's traffic light until you get to like Red Arrow, kind of in that neighborhood. And then it goes up to like 45 and then eventually 55. So it's like, I remember Ray Seeger's talking about this a lot, like text size based on speed limits. The faster traffic's moving, the bigger the sign has to be. Well, our commercial overlay is almost all 35. So I'd like to hear from the business community. How big a sign is big enough
Yeah.
when a car's going 35 miles an hour? And, end of discussion.
I think it should be up to the business owner what they want their font to be and the size of it,
I agree.
because who are we to say this will be better for your business?
I know.
I mean,
Or to say, that's almost like, although we still have the word aesthetics in here, because, people don't want to live in a place that looks junky, and we want to support people building and selling houses here. But I don't want to regulate aesthetics like, oh, that's the wrong color, the font would
Yeah.
look better if it didn't take up so much of the sign. And you decide how much white space you want to use on your own.
yeah.
So, you can see I said, take out the freestanding calculations. Must be this % higher than the rise in the terrain. And
Oh, goodness.
the only thing I would keep is placement at intersections and something called what is it? The site triangle.
Mm-hmm.
That you have to have an unimpeded 20 feet from any which way you're looking at the intersection. That's critical. That's public safety.
Yeah.
So we can get into all of this some other time.
Can I ask you,
Sure.
I was just thinking, we don't want to regulate what they say or the letters or anything inside the sign, but it's entirely possible to get a sheet of plywood that conforms, paint it all white, and then get a red paintbrush and write fireworks on it with a big arrow.
Yeah.
And it would look really trashy. Is there a way to, say, make it professional looking or
Uniformity or
It
whatever.
can't be like
Aesthetically pleasing.
hand painted or misspelled.
Hey,
Misspellings make Edgewood look real.
hey, I have a favorite sign in a nearby town that says Tire Special, SPECHEL.
Special?
I love it.
Yeah.
No, I think that's the chamber's job.
Yeah, that's true.
as is Western theme, any of that stuff. It's not something you can't legislate morality or aesthetics.
Yeah. It would be hard.
And that, I don't know how the chamber would do it. I assume a business owner like that would get pressure from their neighbors.
I think
Yeah.
inside the heart of the town, all those business owners are gonna do what's right.
Yeah,
I do know of a property that probably wouldn't, that is further outside east of town. I could see that being a thing. There, I said, it just, I think it just depends on, and you kind of know. Yeah, there's gonna be a plywood sign up over there.
yeah.
With red paint.
Yeah.
So we'll get into this, we don't have to do this tonight, but here's all the stuff. Accessory sign, awning sign, building mounted sign, canopy signs, marquee signs. Now, the current ordinance does this funny thing, where it says detached single-family dwellings and duplexes can have one sign must be 6 feet by 6 feet on a wall and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into regulating size within a sign type like that. By zone, maybe, certainly. I mean, you have to differentiate residential from non-residential. And I'm going to suggest that we do a table. Type of sign, zone. Little star where it's allowed, blank where it's not allowed. So after people have read the ordinance, they can go, well, now, a quick reference, boop,
Yeah,
boop,
yeah.
boop, you know.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I want to make this thing easy to use.
Yes, that would be great, so we don't cringe every time we hear someone in the hall saying they need a sign permit.
So see this,
Whenever we're
Yeah.
in our office and we hear somebody say, I need to talk to somebody about a sign permit, we're both going, no.
no,
Sick today.
Yep, it's your turn.
so these two are interesting. We'll talk about these next time. Directional signs, and what they mean is, you pull into the shopping center, and it says, yarn store that way, Subway this way. And it's very closely related to kiosk.
Yeah.
Multi-user kiosks. And we have one kiosk, two of them actually, at that property that's off of Plaza Loop. It's between Plaza Loop and the frontage road that's on the south side of Old 66. It's got one kiosk out front, and it's got an older, deteriorating one on the other side. But that's something I'd probably want to provide incentives for. Buddy up, so that you can use one sign for
Yes.
4 businesses,
Yeah.
and we'll give you 2 of them.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, that happens all the time in big cities, like you have
Right,
a shopping center,
Oh, yeah.
you have a 3-sided mall, and you always have all the folks that are selling there in one big sign.
Yep.
And that helps the driver some, too.
it does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ironically, I think the one that's on the south side, I'm sorry, I said south before when I meant north on the frontage road. The south side of Old 66, or the south-facing side, that building that has the 2 kiosks, I think the one that's on the southern side of that building is too small to read at 35 miles an hour.
On Plaza Loop,
Yeah.
I can't read it,
is it where you turn, is it China Chef or?
not that far up. It's the building, it has a jeweler in it.
Yeah, the professional center.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray Seegers has an office there. Um,
George Court?
Where the
Not that far
barber
up.
shop is.
I know where Pizza Barn is, just south of Pizza Barn.
Just south of
That-
Pizza Barn.
That little plaza right there.
You have to go down
Okay.
into it. It's like a building that
Oh, okay,
Yes.
yeah.
is set down from the road. So that may also be a height issue, where if you say 30 feet, well, what if your building is down in a depression?
Yeah.
30 feet
Which
from
that
where?
one is.
Right.
Like the one near Undercar?
Yes.
So-
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so undercar, okay,
Yeah, right next to where Town Hall
Yeah.
used to be.
yeah.
So anyway, we'll save that for, if you guys agree, we'll save that for next time to get into the nitty gritty.
But could we, between now and next time, I've been sitting here thinking, I don't know a lot of these places, go on a trip,
Yeah,
Oh,
planned trip to some of these issue places,
yeah.
or places that might have issues?
Now, we can't discuss the issues
No.
in the vehicles.
until we get back here.
Mm-hmm.
Point.
Can you
take pictures?
What I put together and sent Tanya, and we don't need to look at it, it's so rudimentary. It was just a table that said types of signs, a box, basically what I envisioned is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just count them, the different types, and then I left a big box underneath each type for comments. Like, this one's nice, this one's trashy, you know,
I think that would be helpful, too.
yeah.
Oh, on the side.
We'll run into the
Yeah,
exceptions.
like on I'll give you each a form
Oh,
to
okay.
write down what you thought of the sign.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And we don't, at this point, we don't really know how many are out there. Like awning signs, how many? Are those popular, or, I don't know. Let's find out what people really like,
Yeah.
and that gives you a better idea how to regulate. So I guess whenever the weather's good, and it'll have to be in the daytime, so probably have to be a Saturday, Tanya.
Okay, yeah,
can
I
stand
figured.
it.
We've got to do roads again anyway.
We'll buy burritos.
Yeah. Well, Bacon Jam should be opened up by then, and it's home of the $3 burrito.
Ah,
Where's
What is
that?
this?
Bacon Jam over by Katrina's,
huh?
What is that gonna be?
a restaurant,
Like regular food or?
regular food. They have a cinnamon roll with a big piece of bacon sticking out of the middle of it. I
Oh,
mean,
I'm in.
Is that where
Yeah.
where the bakery used to be and the hot dog place? And-
yeah,
They needed something there.
yep.
Yeah.
So it's actually Craig Wood, the guy that used to be on our P&Z. It's
Oh,
him.
wow.
The same guy that owned it before?
No, it's
No,
who
different
owns
owner.
it now. That's who's
Will be the
opening
one on
it.
the end where the hot dog place was?
I don't know anything about Hot Dog Place, but I know Do Re Mi used to be there.
Oh,
On,
right.
but
It was
Do Re
hot
Mi had
dogs
both
before,
sides, but
yeah.
he'll only have one.
I know, I was kind of shocked that the hot dog place didn't make it, because they
I miss
they had
those
all the
hot
soccer
dogs. Those were
teams
good.
and the
I know.
baseball and, yeah.
Yeah. I
Well,
like
hot
that.
dogs get a
I
bad
did
rap.
too.
They could have had a big sign, I wouldn't have bothered.
So maybe what we should do then, let's finish out, we'll call this done, discussion for tonight. We'll
Okay.
move on to our other business, and maybe when we get to calendar review, we can look at Saturdays that might work,
Yeah.
Sure,
weather permitting.
yeah.
All right. Thank you for your patience, everybody, really. This
Well,
is-
thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
very
this is
good,
like
very
a
good
lot of
input.
work.
And I'll email you, Tanya, the next version
Okay.
and this. All right, so we'll put that to bed for tonight, and we'll move on to item 6, vacant property ordinance. This looked minimal.
Yeah, and it's not all the way finished, but the problem that I'm running into is a lot of the ordinances that I'm looking for guidance really hammer commercial property, and I guess that's a bigger problem in communities than what we have. I don't think that we have a big vacant commercial property problem, we have a residential problem.
Yes.
So, going through here, it's, I really like the purpose, what it says, to protect the health and safety of the town of Edge residents by ensuring appropriate maintenance of vacant residential and commercial structures, so that unsanitary conditions, unsafe deterioration, unauthorized entry will be prevented and do not become a public nuisance. This ordinance will promote the town's public welfare by preventing blight, protecting property values, and ensuring neighborhood integrity and safety. I think that that really hammers a need that we have here. Thank you. And I think that's a good selling point for this type of ordinance to be passed. Definitions, we don't really need to go through those. although it was kind of funny. When you go to look for definitions, you want to have it pertain to planning. So you have to try to find planning definitions, because regular Merriam-Webster
Right.
definitions, you're like, well, that doesn't work, you know?
Right.
So, under requirements, I thought this was kind of interesting. All of them had the same type of language, saying that the police, it didn't say anything about the code enforcement officer, or the fire chief has to certify that a building or structure is vacant and neglected. The town of Edgewood then notifies the owner by certified mail return receipt of the neglected determination, and the property's owner's responsibility to register the structure with within 30 calendar days is what it should say. The property owner is also assessed an annual fee of, and then we decide. But a few of these places up that annual fee if they don't get it taken care of, so it gets pretty expensive.
Right.
And I don't really want to do that. That's going to be, I don't want to get into that. I want it, what I would like to see is you are assessed an annual fee as long as that property is vacant. This kind of says, and I left it this way because that's the examples that I had, but this basically says, once you get a property manager, then, you know, we won't assess a fee anymore. I think that you'll always have a fee because we have to still watch out for this property to see if it's being maintained and it's on our list. So until that property is occupied, legally occupied by somebody, I think it should have an annual fee. I think that they should have to have a property manager and, you know, to take care of the weeds and,
Right.
you know, anything like that. But there's also something else that we need to try to decide is if this is a property that they are not wanting to rent out, if they're not wanting to sell, if it isn't something they're going to come back to every few months because they're snowbirds or whatever, then do we want these properties boarded up? Do we want a bunch of vacant properties around town boarded up? Is that going to, you know, decrease the property value? So there's just some things that when I was going through these ordinances, I was wondering, gosh, do we want a bunch of boarded up places in the neighborhood? But that's how you secure these places.
Right.
Right.
You know, or do we have them do bars on the windows and, you know, something like that? I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I think if we ever have a growing homeless population like they do in cities nearby, I think we'd probably need one of those. Because in those places where you have boarded up buildings, or especially buildings that haven't yet been boarded up, the homeless people move in there.
Right.
And with them come all the other, you know, there's often crime issues.
Right.
Drug use and things like that.
And
But I don't see that yet. At this time in Edgewood, I haven't seen any.
So
It's too cold here, and
we
windy.
do have, apparently, we do have a homeless problem.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't know this until the Bethel House people came and did a presentation one night at town council and explaining how many homeless people we had. It's quite a bit.
Where?
That's what we want to know, is like, where are these people staying? But we do have a home on Range Road that has become quite a nuisance, that has a lot of traffic through there. And I don't know if it's homeless traffic, or if it is just drug use traffic, or a little bit of both. I'm not sure, but the last time we drove past there, because the people that left it, left everything in it. It's like they just grabbed some clothes and dipped. But there's beds, there's couches, there's dishes, there's everything in there. And the bed, one of the mattresses was halfway out on the front porch and halfway in, just, you know, because it's not security. That whole property's going through some legal things. And that was actually going to be one on our radar to do a lean and clean on. But that's not happening now. We've actually kind of got some of this vacant property stuff figured out with some people who want to tear down or move out the old stuff and put new manufactured homes in and rent it out or sell it. We've
Yeah.
got a couple of people that are wanting to do that around town, so we may not have to spend town money to lean and clean.
Get rid of the old stuff and
Mhm.
put some.
But I don't think, if we were to have homeowners say, we tell them, well, we don't want a bunch of boarded up places, because like you said, that kind of attracts people to come in. It's like, oh, look, this place is abandoned. But if you had, and I hate that, the way that looks, but bars on the windows and things like that, that's a lot of money for these people to spend, and I don't know
Yeah.
that we could get them to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's just some things that's going to be out of pocket for some of these people. And a lot of these abandoned places that we've talked to people on, they're elderly people that have moved into Albuquerque and had rented it out for, gosh, what did they say? Like it was $200 a month or something?
Well, yeah,
like
we
that?
had one where
Yeah.
she said that she felt bad for this
Oh.
family, and so she was renting it to 200 bucks a month, and they just let everything go to hell.
Yeah, I mean, they don't realize how well they had it at
Yes.
$200 a month.
Yeah.
But, so we've, some people have passed away, there was nobody, the property wasn't left to anybody, so there's a lot of issues out here that people just up and left and died, or, are too old to take care of it, and.
Well, I can
So-
tell you,
It's something that I wonder, like summertime when there's teenagers out till 1 o'clock. or
Yeah.
Whatever. They're on their motorcycles or they're riding around a car, all of them together. I mean, I've lived out here for a long time and seen a few things, but if they know a house is empty,
Party.
they just, it's party time.
Yeah.
And it's really late at night, and they don't think anybody, sees them or hears them, or,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
start a fire, whatever.
Mm. Well, I
Because
hate
it's
to board
summertime,
them up.
because it's easy.
Yeah, I didn't think of
They're
you
not
may not
doing
have a
anything.
choice
Yeah.
except to board them up.
Yeah.
Although I thought the place next door to me, when it was empty, it was in the ownership of a bank for a while, and they assigned a property manager who winterized all the plumbing and put these really scary signs in the windows that said, "Do not use fixtures in this building, do not drink any of the water, it has poisonous stuff in it."
Mhm.
And they do that. I mean,
Yeah.
otherwise everything would freeze and crack.
Right.
Yeah.
Would that be enough? That an abandoned building, when it must have a property owner assigned and it must be winterized and properly noticed
Right.
that it's winterized?
Yeah, and if they have a property manager, then I guess we wouldn't have to worry about it being boarded up, because they're supposed to be looking after it and make sure it's not getting broken into. There also is a section for maintenance, security, and appearance, and it talks about what a building owner's maintenance responsibilities include.
Mhm.
And I thought those, were pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that should be.
But this was just kind of like a first stab at it, and
Yeah.
I'll dig some more for other properties or other municipalities. See
Yeah.
what there is.
I think it's workable, it's short, not too punitive,
Yeah.
that you're trying to work with people.
What is the status of that one? You go down Dinkle Road, you pass Quail Trail, and it's on the right-hand side, kind of near Rainbow Road. And it's just the
Oh,
junkiest
yeah.
old single wide.
Right. So that gentleman had some health issues. He left town and he came back, and he wanted to live in his RV next to that trailer and fix it up. And per ordinance, we can't allow that. We can't allow him to live. So it's like, we'll give you time to work on it and everything. but you're gonna have to live at the RV park. And basically, he said, I can't afford to do that and fix it up. You know, so
And it's been there for years.
it has, and they did do some fixing up on it. The problem with that, there was a lot of problems with, where it's sat, because it's a flood zone right there. So really where it's sitting is the only place it can be at. He wanted to sell the property, but because it's in a flood zone, he just really can't. I mean, nobody's gonna buy that. Because right now, it's grandfathered in the way it is. Once he moves that out, we're not gonna allow another one in there.
Yeah.
So it's a bad piece of property.
Yeah, it's not boarded up, and so it does look like
Yeah.
just anything could be in there.
Yep.
Yeah, looked at that for a long time.
That's all I have.
Okay. Well, it looks good. I think you're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Kind of walk in the middle, not too punitive, but not ignoring the problem either.
Right.
Oh, and that takes us to public comment. There's nobody here.
Nobody here?
Matters from commissioners,
None?
None?
None, I don't have any.
none from me either. I'm all talked out. Matters from staff.
Probably in the next couple of meetings, maybe even the next meeting, I want to talk about section 16, pick your brain a little bit, and we can probably even do this, not in a formal meeting setting, but we're really starting to look closer at section 16, and we've got some really cool ideas for it, and since you were around, Glenn, at that time when that plan was done, I believe, that master plan,
Right.
we've got a bunch of questions on that. And unfortunately, all the questions that we were talking about today, I didn't write any of them down,
Okay.
so I don't remember.
Janelle will remember a lot about
Yeah,
that, too.
and-
16 industrial?
No, section 16 is where we sit right now
Oh,
in the
okay.
Yeah.
Cyber
Right
Park.
there.
And
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
state,
Municipal
it's
way.
state land office land for the most
a
part.
lot of it, yeah. We have
And-
12 acres of it.
There's a desire to buy a chunk or all of it, and, well, not us directly, it would be a developer, not a home builder, but a developer, who, would build, a master plan.
Yeah.
And the issues, the last two times around on that, the issue was all the amenities that people wanted in there could not be paid for unless you went to, like, 6 or 8 homes per acre density, and nobody wanted that. The developer's not gonna build you a swimming pool unless he or she can sell 400 houses.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, no density.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, then, no swimming pool. Bye."
Goodbye.
That was the-
So that's all I have.
All right, we can do that soon.
Yeah.
It'll be good to wait till Janelle's here,
Mm-hmm.
because she knows, she probably remembers more than I do.
Yeah.
So that takes us to calendar update. Next P and Z, January 14th.
Yeah, we won't have one on Christmas Eve.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't be here.
Yeah.
So these will be the same discussion items that we dealt with tonight. I'll send you, now I've got what I believe is sort of not just green and a mishmash, but like a working copy.
Okay, great.
It's starting to look better.
All right.
And then we should look at Saturdays.
Oh, yes. Well, we should probably just start looking in January.
And not the 11th, obviously.
Yeah, not the 11th. Oh, by the way,
Oh, yes.
if you don't have anything going on January 11th and you would like some fun, we will have another public hearing on our comp plan.
Another one?
Oh,
Public
that's
hearing on
right.
our comp plan.
Oh, no.
Is it going to be set up like all the counselors?
Special council meeting.
And,
Okay.
yep,
Public hearing, isn't it?
it is a public hearing. I don't know why. It's adopted by resolution. It's not an ordinance. We shouldn't have a
Yeah.
public hearing.
No, it's, they can do public hearing if they want to.
At
There's
what
no
time
need
on
to.
Saturday?
10 a.m. And if you guys want to come, I will bring you burritos.
So is Maida gonna?
You guys.
Is Maida gonna have a chance to do her corrections by that time?
Yeah.
Is that what?
Yeah, she's about got it. We've got to work on a few things, but,
And her contract ends a week later.
yes. So it has to be passed, or we're going to start having to pay. Then our contract is up, and we're going to have to do a new one.
Are amendments to the existing contract possible or no?
I don't think so.
Extensions?
I think it would have to be. I don't remember seeing anything in there about extensions.
I still think that would be the right thing to do, though, to have her involved until we get it passed.
Oh, she's definitely going to be, yeah.
Well, I can tell you right now, I don't plan to attend. My attendance on November 20th was pretty much pointless.
Well, I figured if anybody did attend, we would set the table up again because of the message that was delivered from some of the people that attended it. It was unfair statements saying that they, and I'll just go ahead and say it on the record because it was already said, that they did not feel welcome, that they were not heard, that we had an agenda that was fueled by the mayor. And at one point, I looked at Carla, were we at a different meeting? Because that was not at all what happened.
No.
In workshops? No, it was
Yeah,
not.
no. And I think everyone spread out really nicely, so the commission wasn't all piled in together.
No, we
You guys all
intentionally
sped
each took a
around.
table.
Everyone took a
Yeah.
table.
And I went
Staff
from-
rotated around.
I went to several of the groups, and I thought there was tons of discussion,
There was.
not just from the P and Z.
Everybody,
Well-
from what I saw, were engaged, involved. There was, nobody was raising their voices. It was well attended. I thought it was really constructive and productive. I mean, we got a lot done with those.
And there was accusations that P and Z commissioners had an agenda.
Right.
So we were placed very strategically throughout the meetings.
That wasn't at
We
all
didn't even
what.
know what we were supposed to do.
Right, no one
No.
even knew. We were
just
just
let-
kind of
and we wrote
going
it
for
I
it.
just went in and sat down at the
Right.
table.
Yeah,
The
and
idea
everyone had the
was-
same question. What are we supposed to do?
And we wrote it down on
Right.
paper.
The
Yeah.
idea was to
All those
have,
papers that she had.
we had a commissioner, and this wasn't rigidly structured, but the idea was to have a commissioner facilitating at each table. We had copies of the old comprehensive plan. We had copies of the survey results. Yes, there was an agenda, because the comprehensive plan has, oh gosh, I haven't counted them in a while, 9 or 10 goal areas and objectives under each. Probably, I want to say when we were all done, a fourth to one-third of all objectives had to do with parks and recreation,
Yep.
which is an area that people like to talk about a lot. We could not have, if the expectation people had is they were coming in to just give open public comment, you could not have accomplished getting a plan done that way.
Right.
So yes, we said, here's what we're going to
It
do.
had to be in order.
We said, today we're going to take on housing,
Isn't it?
transportation, economic development.
Because we didn't want to be here for hours. so we
Next
had to-
Saturday, we're going to take on,
Right.
Yeah.
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 That's not that we had some
Parks and
secret
trails.
agenda.
Yeah.
We had a structure,
Right.
So
and it followed the plan.
Some people will bitch about anything. Heaven,
and because the
lemon pie.
4 or 5 people that got up and said they felt very uncomfortable at the meetings, they didn't feel that they were being heard. I mean, the men and the women, it was one right after the other. So who has the agenda here?
Oh, you got
Yeah.
it, girl.
You know, so, very obvious.
Yeah, it was. And it's disappointing because that wasn't at all what happened. But once again, it's how it's spun. And as staff, at what point are we ever allowed to get up and defend ourselves? Is it gonna do any good? Probably not. But like I said, if you guys do want to come, I will set those tables up and we will put the staff microphones where you're sitting so you guys can defend the work that you've done. Because it's very unfair, and I think that you guys are treated unfairly because of it, so.
Well, I said this in writing to you. I think people misunderstand that the role planning and zoning served in creating that plan was not our usual role. We were asked, let me back up, council hired the Middle Rio Grande Council of Governments to write a plan. To do that, Mr. Cog had to collect survey data. They had to somehow convene focus groups to get face-to-face information from people, share the survey, see if that's what people really agree to, or is it something different? So Maida stood at that lectern one night and asked P&Z, would you be willing to serve as a steering committee? And we said yes. So at that point, we were no longer P&Z. We weren't ruling on land use. We weren't writing the plan. We weren't preparing the survey questions. Maida wrote everything and brought things to us, a piece at a time, and said, what about this? Did we get it right? How about that? Does that look right? How do we get all the people in this room to hear from them?
Right.
How many people do we expect? Can all of you attend so you can all facilitate at a table?
Well, and it's very typical in other municipalities to have the steering committee be predominantly made by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Mm-hmm.
The other mistruth that was out there was that Linda Burke was the only neutral person, and that's not true. We had Steve Jackson. We had Lou Gibney. So Steve Jackson's a developer. Lou Gibney is a house builder.
Right.
We had Roxy Carpenter. She was Parks and Rec.
And John,
Yes.
her
Yeah.
husband.
Right, and John Carpenter.
There were quite a few there who
There
were.
was.
But-
There were a lot of new people too to town.
You have to say, to me, that the P and Z people that were out there working were neutral, because we had seen some of the survey come in, but I don't think anybody I talked to on this table here and the others had made up their mind on anything
No,
at that point.
We're not realtors.
That's right.
We don't have land, acres and acres of land to be interested in building.
And I'll tell you, the one point of disagreement that I recall vividly from the first workshop was a retired engineer at my table who said, this is ridiculous, you can't have any goals until you have solid data on each and every area where you plan to craft a goal. And I disagreed and said, this is, the intent of this thing, like the last plan, was to have visionary statements. We don't necessarily have to support every single goal with scientific fact.
Right.
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 So there were things that we disagreed on. If that's interpreted as unwelcome, I'll wear that. I'm not going to say, oh, you're right. Let's disband the meeting and go collect scientific data on each of these 9 areas.
Right.
Build some
Before we
big
set any
analytical
goals.
codes to
Yeah.
grind them out, and we won't have anything there.
And, we came away from that
think that
table
way,
with
yeah.
goals.
Yep.
And some of them, you can go look at them in the original draft. Some that came from my table, a lot of them were study and collect data. Study and collect data. Where we could acquiesce to that, we did.
Right.
And then Maida took it and said, well, but the other 7 tables, we just basically got overruled by the other 7 tables
Yeah.
that were capable of vision. I don't think we were unwelcoming
We weren't.
as much as
And
trying
we-
to massage this thing.
Right.
I don't know anybody on the group here, or the ones that went over, that was going in with fixed opinions.
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
We wanted to hear what they had to say more.
Right,
Yeah.
That's why we did it that way.
My most
To
fixed
collect it.
opinion,
yeah.
To
Right.
collect it. That was a purpose.
my most fixed opinion came from the fact that I worked on the 2008 plan. And let me just highlight that that was not written by P and Z. That was also written by Mr. Cog, not Maida, a different representative from that agency. And council worked on it. Back in those days, we wrote. And I worked on that plan, my name is on it. So the one preconceived idea I had was continuity. That if we had a goal in the old plan that was economic development, we should probably have a goal in the new plan that's economic development.
Yeah.
You know, beyond that, I didn't care what the goal was, because the town's changed in 11 years
Right, it has.
since then.
And I think it was a very good idea of yours to say, add the survey in the index and the comments that people said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Add it to the master plan, because there it is in this,
Yeah.
or 2018 and 19, so.
Well, my suggestion too was if council decides to make, significant revisions, I expect they will, don't attempt to whitewash what's in the current draft, but maybe report both. So you say the survey on this question said this, however, in public hearing, people who attended said something slightly different.
Yeah.
You report them both and let the reader make sense of that.
And I thought there were some great ideas that came from just the people, the public that came in and sat in those tables.
It's going to look weird if your whole report references a survey until you get to 2 topics, and then suddenly you throw that out the window, and you say, oh, by the way, on these topics, we didn't do a survey, we just did a public hearing.
Yeah.
That 40 people attended, and 37 of them saw it my way. That's going to look fishy.
I wonder if Maida still has those papers. I mean, I know they were big papers. but-
Yeah, I'll ask her.
Oh,
She
she
might.
probably does.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would think maybe, because she could just roll them up. They were
It'd be
big.
good to have that on Saturday,
Yeah.
on that Saturday.
When I
Say,
did
here
this
it
kind
is.
of work, like program evaluation and focus group work and stuff, until the project was sealed, signed, and delivered, we kept everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yep, that might be a really good idea.
The word prima donnas,
She might have taken pictures.
Because that would, yeah, she
Well,
might
I
have
didn't say
taken
it.
pictures. She might have
I'm
taken.
gonna say it, the word prima guys and prima donnas comes to mind about some of the people who were on those workshops. Talking, trying to make some points, yeah. And then later to come in and say they had no opportunities to say that?
Or they felt no one listened to them.
Yeah.
When we all had to report from each table,
Yep.
everybody could write something down.
We went around, we went around the tables, I remember, in some cases, and let everybody give their opinion
Yeah.
on that one topic.
And if they didn't speak up, that's on them.
Well, what we did at those flip charts was actually the first draft of the goals and objectives.
Right,
Yeah.
it was.
Wordsmith,
Yes.
Yep.
right here in this room.
Yep. It sure was.
They should
I
have
thought it was good work.
They should have
Yeah,
prima
it
donned
was.
earlier.
Or
But
take
you know,
pictures of
the funny
those
thing
papers.
is, we had, that was adopted by resolution. Those same people attended that meeting when one of our counselors that is kind of against all this made the motion to approve it, and it was voted on unanimously. They never got up then and said that they
We
felt
were,
unwelcome.
right, that shouldn't count because we were unwelcome.
Right?
Yeah.
They
it-
were, both of them were at my table.
Yep,
Yeah.
It's absurd.
yep.
And I don't buy the notion that, well, I can't go to those workshops because the lawyer advised me not to go to anything P and Z. This was way outside of P and Z's
Right.
land
It was
use
not land
mandate.
use.
Way outside our normal authority.
Right, it's not. it's
Way
not-
outside our advisement role to council.
Land use management with 100 new trails and new swimming pools.
There was no reason that any interested
Oh,
counselor could not have
absolutely
attended.
Nope.
And I'm aware of other meetings of a partisan nature that they have no trouble attending.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous.
Yep,
So
down the road.
for me, I don't see the point in going on January 11th. At best, it'll be a back and forth argument. At worst, I just won't even be asked a question, like I wasn't on November 20th. I sat at a table there and nobody really asked much of anything. Oh, no, I'm sorry, November 20th, I sat in the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some of the people came to listen. Even some of those actually started, by the end, started saying, making suggestions and talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never done anything like that. I was kind of clueless. But I eventually saw that that makes sense, you know?
Well, and I've done two of these now. The
That's
second
not
one-
pre-decided.
This one was much
Yeah.
better than the one I did in 2008 that I worked on. Much broader sampling of opinions. Just the survey result, the response rate to that survey, even if people believe that there was some, unwarranted duplication, like one person may have answered twice from two different computers, we couldn't control a lot of that stuff. But even if you were to weed that out, it was still a huge response rate.
Yes, it was.
It was.
Out of 6,000 people to get that many responses.
Yeah, you're lucky, in most survey research like that, you're lucky if you get a couple percent
Yeah, oh,
response.
yeah. It was a focus group, that's what.
So I
at my work.
don't think we should
Yeah,
retreat and pull our helmet over our ears and duck. I don't
I mean,
think that's
isn't
going to
there-
help
isn't there,
the
like-
city at all.
Like a deadline to say, you didn't come to us, with reasonable amount of time, like 13 different pages, and we want all this written up. And then we come at the week before the contract's up, and then, isn't there some kind of a deadline that changes, it's either approved or
Or dead.
not approved? I mean,
I don't know, I guess, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know. I
I
really
have
don't.
made it just keep going, you know what I mean?
We're
Like-
gonna have to pay them more money. We're gonna have to enter into a new contract that says, this is how much more it's gonna cost you guys for me to stay on and keep
Yeah.
rewriting everything. So I think it's just something, I guess we just have to see what happens on the 11th, because I think the contract ends here.
The 18th, yeah.
if it's a really big problem, a municipality always has an option to move ahead with no comprehensive plan.
Right.
A lot of communities don't have them. The problem is when you go to the legislature and you say, well, I really want some money to improve my wastewater treatment plant, and they go, do you have health of your wastewater treatment in your comprehensive plan? And you go, oh, well, we didn't do one of those after 2008, because we all disagreed about it, and we just said, it's not worth it. Yeah,
Bye-bye.
you get very low consideration.
Right.
So it's probably not a good idea to do that,
Yeah,
to just blow it off.
right.
But then, I can't imagine if they have big changes to make, I can't imagine how Maida's going to get that done in a week.
I
If she
think
does
that-
nothing else,
Right.
maybe.
Yep.
But, we're not the only people she works
I
with.
don't
No.
think we're doing our
No.
city any good at all if we fold our tent.
I agree.
Because the way, I think we did it the right process, we got input with survey, we got input from people coming here. And if a few people are a whole lot whiny, then when we have our next comprehensive plan, maybe they'll volunteer to work on it.
I'll tell you what enters into my thinking on that. The meeting I attended about M1, about our industrial zone, I suggested that it would be better if people got out ahead of the process with their input,
Yeah.
rather than waiting until we have a final
Absolutely.
recommendation.
Absolutely.
And I was told by Counselor Abrahams, I can't attend because the lawyer told me not to, and that's really not a good suggestion anyway, because here in council is where the real action happens. And that's why the public comes to council.
It's more
There's
important.
there's really no rationale for them to go to P and Z.
Right. How about?
She said it, so why should I go to council?
How about offering document that whoever attends and feels they didn't get heard, or, something like that. If we ever they had to do this again, put your name down here and we'll try to be in touch with you, and what are your comments? I mean, they didn't say anything a year and a half ago, but now they're saying, nobody listened to them.
Yeah.
It's like, well, wait a minute, you were there, you signed this document and wanted to get more information.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
So
going to
there's
say this.
responsibility, that there's an accountability, and it's not just kind of whoever says what, in the air.
That assumes that you're dealing with people who are bargaining in good faith. And I think that on occasion here, we are dealing with a small group of people, I could probably name who some of them are, who are not bargaining in good faith.
They're only there for the politics.
What is their
The
agenda?
There are some
Politics.
people who, I believe, have as their goal to unseat this mayor,
Yes.
Yes.
and making a tempest in a teapot of our comprehensive plan serves that goal.
I completely agree.
And
with you.
maybe somebody wants to be mayor or wants a puppet for a mayor.
Yeah, I don't know.
They want one of their
But,
friends for.
I said this in writing too, to you, Tanya. It's a bad idea to politicize your comprehensive
Yes.
plan.
And that is, I thought we did really well.
A comprehensive
Not
plan, when you
politicizing.
read it, and you can look at the 2008 and you'll see this. When you read it, it should come across very matter-of-fact, very factual, where things tie together. There's background, that's history, development of the ideas that you're going to hit when you get to goals and objectives.
Yep.
It flows into the goals and objectives, and then you have action strategies. How are you going to achieve those things?
Yeah.
And no, 10 to 20 years as a priority does not mean you don't start
Right,
until day 364 of year 9.
right. That is not what that means.
It means you don't expect to achieve it or
Until
make
for
any
10 to
real
20.
progress until you're quite far out.
Right,
And voting on a priority 0, when 0 is not an option, does not mean that, what it means is you're just having a tantrum because you don't want that objective in there in the first place.
Yeah.
So then what you should have done, when you were looking at the resolution to approve the objectives, is say, if I may have the floor, I don't think I want that objective in there in the first place.
For the following reasons. and-
Yeah, you don't wait until you're down to voting on the priorities and you go, priority 0.
Yeah.
What does that mean when you have to assign it either a 1, 2, 3, or 4? What does 0 mean?
Well, it wouldn't be
Prima donna.
dramatic enough. I mean,
It means I don't like that objective. Well, you should have dealt with it as an adult several weeks ago, before you got down to voting on prioritizing
Yeah.
the objective that you don't like. I can't believe it. I've never seen anything like it in 10 years serving in Edgewood, first as a recreation commissioner, then as a counselor, and now as a planning and zoning commissioner. I've never seen anything like it.
yeah, it's very sad.
It is. It's not good for us.
it's not good for the future of this town.
Nope.
That's
It
ultimately. who gets
stirs
hurt.
up contention.
That is exactly who gets hurt, is the future of this town
Don't
by,
pack up yet. We got one more agenda item.
Oh.
When we're done ranting.
I was just getting ready to move we adjourn.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned.
I thought we covered everything.
we just didn't cover adjourning.
Just ridiculous.
It doesn't